Hello, welcome back to the garden. So the last time I filmed anything here was just after me and Grandad had done all that clearance work, and then I rotivated the entire lot, and before winter really set in I was able to rotivate it one more time. And as you can tell by the tractor and the setup on the back there, I'm going to rotivate it again. I wasn't going to do it this early, it's the middle of February as I film this, but I want to plant wheat, spring wheat, and I've just found out that you need to plant it as soon as possible. So my intention this year with the garden, as purely as an experiment, is to devote a quarter of the growing area to growing wheat, and then I'm going to try and make bread. and I suspect after going through the entire process of processing the wheat, I'll probably lose interest in it. I've acquired a bag of wheat. Before you all rush off and copy what I'm doing, this is completely experimental. I don't even know if this particular variety of wheat is even a goer for bread. This is organic wheat seed, and I figured that would be a good idea because I was told by a farmer friend of mine that some of the non-organic wheat seed is treated, or dressed as they call it, with various chemical fungicides and such, which I was slightly dubious about. I'm not going to actually plant anything today, or actually for a couple of weeks. What I'm going to do today is just rotivate it all, and the idea of that is to churn through all these weeds and grass that's here, and that will disrupt all that, kill off a lot of it, but it'll also bring a load of other stuff to the surface. And in a couple of weeks time, once that's sprouted, I'll go rotivate it again for the same reason, and then I'll plant stuff. I've run out of builder's line, so I've got some chance of making straight lines. We'll see how that goes. I'll have a quick look at the starting point. So I was going to plant a load of green manure for the winter, but I wasn't able to because the ground got too wet. But it turns out all that grass that was in between the beds just re-established itself anyway. I also rotivated in about 3 tons of cow muck that my neighbour very generously not only donated but delivered, which was very good of him. So I spread that around with the grader on the back of the tractor, and yes, I did actually rotivate that in as well. I'm sure this looks completely unremarkable to you, but to me, considering that when I started it there was no soil, it was just shale, this just looks quite incredible. If I was to plough up that part there, it would look nothing like this, but this we can plant in. The inspiration for growing my own wheat came almost entirely from a video that I happened to stumble across on YouTube. And I shall link this video in the description and in a pinned comment because it really is worth a watch if you're into gardening and such. It's just a video, it's from way back at the beginning of YouTube, and it's just a video of a chap on his allotment growing wheat, harvesting wheat, processing wheat, and then baking bread. It's utterly wholesome. It's a wonderful video, and I'm going to be basically copying his processes, but instead of using garden scale things like a rotivator or whatever, I'm going to be using my little tractor. Now when me and Grandad cleared this garden, because it had been abandoned for a year, it was infested with bindweed and comfrey, and what I've done here, rotivating it, is either a really good idea or a really bad one. So this is part of the experiment. So conventional wisdom is if you rotivate any pernicious weed like bindweed or comfrey, those little, or dandelions or anything like that, those little roots, those little sections of roots, each little section will sprout another plant. But I figured there can only be so much energy in those roots. So if I rotivate it all and it sprouts, and then I rotivate it again and it sprouts, and then I rotivate it again, at some point those plants are going to be depleted and they won't be able to sprout. So I rotivated this in the autumn, and then I got one more, and at that point I rotivated it this way, crisscrossing, really rotivated it, because I was trying to work in all the cow poo as well as the, remember before it was in beds, and in between the beds was grass, so I was trying to mix around everything that was here. Then I rotivated it heavily one more time, and obviously I've just been over it. There's not much sign of any bindweed that I've noticed so far, so we shall see. Like I said, either a great idea or a terrible one. My farmer friend just told me to spray it off, but of course he would. And it might come to that, that is definitely an option, but I figured I'd try this first. It'd be interesting to see what it does. That's it for now, see you in a couple of weeks.